So today I'm going to be painting an Ogor Leadbelcher. It's one of the ogres that uses an old Empire cannon or mortar as a gun. And I'm painting this using the challenge for the Advent calendar of painting. And so today's challenge is use a technique that you saw in a YouTube video and apply it to a miniature. So today I'm going to be doing warpaint, and I'll put the link in the comments of this stream after I'm done. But it's by Vince Venturella, and it's a neat method of painting warpaint. So I'm going to start with the skin, because I'm going to paint the whole miniature, but the warpaint is specifically what I'm showing off. But I'm going to paint the skin first so that it can start drying. For this, I'm using Dark Oath Flesh Contrast. I'm going to paint this so it can start drying so that we can get to the warpaint quickly, or at least as quickly as possible. So I'll put the skin color on, then paint a bunch of the other stuff, and then we'll get to the warpaint after it dries. So I'm gonna do some war paint in a couple different places on him. I've never done this technique before for war paint. I saw the video and just thought that would be neat to try. So if I mess it up, oh well, I mess it up. You guys will get to see that mess up live on camera. It seems pretty straightforward though. It's just about we're going to do a certain thing to our paint, but then after that, it's just sort of applying it, thinking about how another being would apply war paint to the skin. So not going down into the crevices of the skin and just being on the surface, and then thinking about how skin would move once the paint was on it and how it would crack and stuff like that. So just making sure all the skin is covered first. And we'll probably get to apply 2 or 3 other colors before this skin is all dry and we can actually go to the war paint. If you heard me mention at the beginning our Advent calendar of painting challenges, and you don't know what that is, I encourage you to go check it out. Basically, just every day there'll be a restriction basically on how you have to paint something. So today it's paint a miniature using a technique you saw in a YouTube video, and link that YouTube video with your final product. I also opened it up to other publications. If you have like a book that shows you how to do a technique, or a magazine or something, you can do that too. And then tomorrow there'll be a different painting challenge, and you have that day to do it. So on and so forth until Christmas Eve is our last day. And then for every challenge you completed, you get 1% off a purchase you make at Galactic. So if you complete 10, you get 10% off a purchase of your choosing. If you complete all 24, you get 24% off a purchase of your choosing. That can be a purchase of a single paint or $1,000 worth of miniatures. Does not matter. But it's only on one purchase, so make sure you use it wisely. So I'm going to go on and do the pants now. I'm going to do this in snakebite leather. And I'm just going to make sure to not get the belt as much as possible, or the bag that he has on his hip. I want to make sure to just get the pants with this color. The boots I'm going to do in a darker color, so I'm being less careful about keeping it off the boots. I want to keep it off the boots, but they're going to be a darker color, so it'll just cover this if I make any mistakes. But the belt and the bag are going to be a lighter color. So... and then I'm doing this part above the belt here, and I just want to make sure that I don't get any on the skin. A tiny little bit won't matter because it'll just look like part of the shadow where the pants meet the skin, but I don't want to get a lot on there. Just get under there. Alright, we're all set on the pants. So I'm just going to look at our skin color. It's still, as you can see, it's still wet in the recesses there. So we're going to go on to another color. And I think I'll do the boots now. I'm just going to do them in black. Actually, I'm going to do them in dark brown. I'm going to do Sigor brown for the boots. These ogres have like a metal ring around the bottom of their shoe. So if I hit that with some of the brown, it's not a big deal because we're going to come back and do it in metal anyway. Okay, just make sure I got all of it. And then I'm going to do the belt in this color too, I think. I wasn't originally going to, but since both the belt and the boots would have been made of leather, could be made of leather, I think it's fine for them to be the same color. Alright, good. Then I'm going to be careful to not get this on the pants as much as possible. A tiny bit of hangover is okay, because it'll just look like a shadow between the two items. But I want to be very careful to not get too much on there. There we go. And then the belt comes down. He's got like a leather piece that sort of hangs down where the shield is here. And just holds the shield in place. And then just make sure to get the part of the belt that comes into the shield here. And then this part over here. And this part right in here. Alright. I feel like I missed a part of the belt somewhere. Oh yeah, right here where it comes into the buckle. Just grab that. Alright, so now looking at our skin color, it is a little wet in a couple places, but I think we can work with this. So I'm going to do the first of the war paint that I'm doing. So to do this, I'm going to take just any old piece of plastic here. And I'm going to get some, in this case, pewter gray pigment. It's just like very fine sand, essentially. very, very fine sand. It's, I guess, like powdered sugar, baking soda, something like that. Very, very fine. I'm just going to take some and put it on this palette I have here. Just get a little pile of it. Make sure there's not a lot of clumps in it. Good. And then I'm going to take the color that I want to do the war paint in. So I think I'm going to do this in the first one in a dark blue. So this is the first one I see here, so we'll do the fang. So I'm just going to get a brush that doesn't really matter because it's going to get powder, pigment powder in it. I'm just going to take some of this, put it on the palette here. I'm going to get the paint off my brush and dry it off completely. Don't want it to be wet. And then take some of the powder and just mix it into the paint here. Just mixing the powder in. And we're just looking for a sort of a rough texture. I think I might need a little bit more paint. That's fine. So we're just trying to get some texture into our paint, like a rough pigment might be that people would use to paint war paint. So just mixing it in here until we've got it nice. Not sure if you can, yeah, you can see that. So there you can see we've got texture into our paint. So then we just have to come up with a design. I'm just going to do a super simple design. I'm just going to do an X on this part. So I'm going to take some of this paint that has our texture in it. And I'm just going to start up here. I'm just going to brush it on. I'm actually going to stipple it on so that helps the texture even more. And I'm just going to skip the lowest parts here of the skin, like someone was just applying it with a hand and running over the bumps. If you could imagine, like, so say I have my hand like this and I run my finger over top of it, my brush here never hits this finger. It hits this and hits this, but it never hits that bottom finger. That's basically what we're doing with this muscle here. It's coming across, being applied with another big ogre hand, but not hitting the bottom of this divot, basically. So I'm just going to do this down the other side. Got a little piece of fuzz on my brush. Just knock that off. Just going to stipple it around a little bit. There we go. So there's our war painted X on there, and you can see the paint has some texture in it, like it was just roughly mixed and then applied. So then I think I'm gonna need some more powder. Oh, I've got plenty of powder. Need some more paint down here. I'm gonna go back to my crappy brush, get some more paint and mix it up. Mix it around here. I can show you this close up. So I'm just taking this powder and this paint mix and mixing it up. And he mentioned, like I said, I'll link the video, but he mentions in the video that you want to do this on a dry palette, not on a wet palette, because I'm not sure if he actually says why. My assumption is because you don't want all this powder in your wet palette. Could probably mess up the sponge and just get in the way in general. So then for the second application of this paint, I'm going to stipple on like straight from the palette. Let's go. Yep, you got it. Like, I'm not sure how historically accurate it is, but sometimes you see warriors with like half their face painted. Oh, like Braveheart, I guess. While that movie may be a historical travesty, I'm sure that at one point or another, some Scottish warriors probably used face paint of some variety. So I'm just going to paint this on, missing all the indents again of the skin. Just stipple it on. Just like that. And then I'll make sure we've got a line straight down the top here, or more or less. So there's that. And then I think I need a little bit more powder mixed into my paint here. It's just not quite textury enough. So we'll mix that in. There we go. And then I think I'll do some sort of symbol here on the side. Oh, let's see if I can execute this. So you see the this brush is too small for that. You see those the classic tattoo of the heart, I'm thinking of the classic Navy tattoo. I think Popeye might have had one in the cartoon. It's like a heart with an arrow through it. We'll see if we can get one of those to happen. So his arm is like this. So I'm just going to stipple this on. This, instead of a tattoo, is war paint, but it's the same idea. This is a large brush for this, but... So there's roughly a heart, and then... Put a line coming out. Put an arrowhead on this line. Get some more paint on the brush. And put some fletchings on this arrow. We'll call that a day. Good enough, right? So we got our basic X on the back, our half painted face, and a heart with an arrow through it. That'll work. It at least shows the technique. And that's all the point of this challenge is. So now I just have to finish the guy. So let's do that. I'm going to grab orc flesh and do the little goblin sitting up on him in that color. Just make sure I got all the powder out of my brush. I did. So I'm just doing the skin of this little goblin dude. I think he's called a Noblar in this army. Can't remember exactly. I don't think they're actually meant to be green, but I'm painting him as a goblin. If the GW lawyers want to come find me, they can. Got a little bit of fuzz on his nose there. Well, he's got an eye patch like his little friend here. Interesting. Alright. Get his arm here and we should be good to go. Yeah, alright. So then, let's see, this has got to be metal. I'll go ahead and do the metal real quick. I'm just going to use, I'll use Ironbreaker for this. Maybe I should be using Leadbelcher because he is a Leadbelcher after all, but I like Ironbreaker more as a color, so we're going to use that. I'm going to grab a bigger brush. And I'm going to try not to hit these straps that are around the cannon here, so that I can go back and do them in a contrast color without them looking metallic. But if I bump them a little bit, it's not the end of the world. I think it's pretty funny on these guys that they have they're just holding the guns and the little goblin guy is in charge of actually firing it with his touch stick there. That touch stick has a name, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. So I'm going to call it a touch stick. Alright, I'm going to switch to a smaller brush to do the rest of this. It's sort of in between other details here. There's the cannon. Alright, what else is metal? The things around his shoes are metal. Got more fuzz on my brush. Got a very fuzz-filled day, apparently. A little bit of silver on his foot there, that's okay. Going for a speed paint. In an army, you'd never notice. Just gonna paint these buckles. And then I'll go back to the bigger brush for the shield itself. Brush had a little bit too much water on it. It's okay. That can be solved. And we got some silver on the belt here. Just gonna wipe it off with my finger. Alright. So I think that's silver on everything that needs to be silver. So now I'm just going to go in and do some details. So I'm going to use wildwood on the stick that the goblin is holding. as well as the shaft of his weapon. No seafoam green, peace out. There could be seafoam green coming later, you don't know. I might have been preparing to highlight this goblin with a seafoam green. Alrighty. So then I've basically, before I do some finishing touches, I just have the straps and the goblin clothes. Oh, I gotta do the goblin stick with this color. So I'm going to do all the straps that I have left and the goblin clothes in black. And then I'm going to do the bag in Agoros Dunes. And then I'm going to do some finishing touches, put a little bit of a wash on the metal. Put a highlight color on the metal. Do the fire. And I think we'll be ready to call it a day. And I'll do the base really quick. And I'll do the base to match my my existing ogre army. That's a heck of a gun. Yeah, it's a large gun. It's meant to be an old Empire cannon that the ogres have stolen and are using as rifles. So I'm going to use Black Templar for the goblin clothes, all the straps that are left. Yeah. As they do, yes. Exactly. I always thought it was a shame, and who knows, there could be new ogre models coming, but the Empire have several artillery weapons. Why can't we have like the Hellstorm rocket battery is like 12 rockets sticking out of a piece of plywood, essentially. Why couldn't an ogre pick up that and be walking with that thing? Would be awesome. Even if it was like a once a game shooting attack. Who cares? It would be sweet. Get the edge of these straps here. Something to be said for maybe painting these straps first and then going back with the metallic, but it's okay. Alrighty. Let's see what else we have here. Alright, just the goblin clothes, I think. Goblin clothes are just in here with so much other detail around them. Be nice if they would make it easier to paint. I suppose that would be sub-assemblies, but you know how I feel about those. Or if you don't know how I feel about those, I don't like them. There you go. I shouldn't say I don't like them. Maybe. I don't like using them. I think they're a fine technique. I like to see my model fully built first, though, before I start painting it. And I'm not going to break apart a miniature. I'm not going to build it fully and then break it apart just to paint in sub-assemblies, so. I don't paint in sub-assemblies. There's the rare exception. For instance, Imperial Knights, you don't have to glue a lot of the stuff on. So I will paint them in sub-assemblies because it doesn't take away from my being able to see the full miniature before painting it. And then, like, I'm trying to think of another example. The Gulliman, the 40k Gulliman model. I left his backpack, like, wing system off. Like crest, whatever that is. Just because it doesn't really need to be on. But otherwise, I don't usually use sub-assemblies. I will keep models off of their base sometimes. That is something I'll do. But, alrighty. Oh yeah, this, we'll use Skeleton Horde. Why not? It was a shame that the old world was destroyed. The lore was so much better. Okay. I can see that being your opinion. I don't happen to agree, but I know there are many people who do, so. I think that if you want to argue that the End Times lore was a bit of a rush job just to get to their new game, I could agree with that. But I think the stories they have put out in the Age of Sigmar world are just as good or better than the stories they put out in Warhammer Fantasy World. But I will agree that the transition from Age of Sigmar, or from Warhammer Fantasy to Age of Sigmar, was a rough one. In terms of believability that, yeah, that would have totally happened. Alright, so I think I will take some Null Oil now. And that's not Null Oil, that's texture paint. Here we go. Null Oil. Just going to put this on the, not on the leather, on the metal of this guy here. It's going to be, put it on pretty thick and then pull some off if it's pooling too much. Speaking of cop-outs, cop-out way to shade your miniature. The difference is, those are professional story writers at Games Workshop. They shouldn't have to use cop-outs. I'm just trying to get models done. And so are a lot of people. Ways to finish product or models faster is not a cop-out. Alright, we got any more metal here? Oh yeah. On his shoes. I can get on the brown, it's not a problem. Good. Put some on his club there. Alright, now I'm just going to do a couple little details on the metal. Just the spots that are sticking out, I am going to use some copper, if I can find it. There it is. No? Copper? Anybody got a copper? There's fluorescent pink. I don't think that's going to help me. Okay, well, this ogre just became a fancy ogre. He's now going to have gold detail instead of bronze because I can't find my bronze. AOS rule set is awesome, no doubt. Just haven't liked much of what AOS has produced lore-wise, but I get what you're saying and will agree that the transition was rough and hard. Yeah. Yeah, I had pretty much stopped playing fantasy by the time the transition occurred. Age of Sigmar basically got me back to playing the game, so that definitely could contribute to my liking of it. I know what my problem is here. Need to pull. There's a little bit of Nuln Oil on the tops of these spots here. I just need to dry that off real quick. There we go. It should go easier. So I'm just painting these teeth in Retributor armor. And there's some other little detail on him I was about to do in gold. I forgot what it was, though. I'll just take a spin around the model in a second, and we can figure it out. Oh, these rivets. And he's got a little rivet there. Oh, and he's got some earrings. I was going to do these earrings in bronze originally, but now they're gold, so they'll be gold. Oh, more rivets over here. Good. Excellent. Alright, then I'm just going to do some highlighting on the leather. I'll do that with Rackhearth Flesh. Give it a good shake. And then I think we'll be... Oh, I gotta do the fire, and then we'll be done. And then, well, I'll do the base after I'm done with the model. So I'm just painting these stitches here along his seat of his pants, along his butt. And then just a little highlight along the edge here. Another reminder, if you haven't seen our painting Advent challenge, please go take a look at it. I want you all to participate. If you finish all 24 days, you get 24% off any purchase you want, big or small. 24% off is a big percentage off. I want you all to be able to take advantage of it. So go, go, go. You have, time is it? 8:40. You have roughly 27 hours remaining for today's challenge, which is use a technique you saw in a YouTube video and apply it, and then link the YouTube video when you're done. I also opened it up to other forms of media. If you find a tutorial in a magazine or in a magazine or a book or some other publication, a blog maybe, that is acceptable as well. Alrighty, so I'm just going to do this fire now. I'll do that with 3 contrast paints just to do it real quick. End in yellow. Griff Charger orange. Griff Hound orange. And Blood Angels red. This is sort of going to be a caricaturized, I guess, version of fire, but it's okay. It'll come across just fine. So I'm going to paint the whole thing with the end in yellow. End in yellow, if you put it on too thick, will go orange on you. when I'm painting fire this way, I want to make sure to not have it go orange, because we have an orange to be orange. We want this to be yellow. So there you go, yellow. Then we're going to take the Griffhound orange and start about 2/3 up. And just go, make sure I get this on camera. Just start about 2/3 up and go like this. And just make sure you don't have a straight line across. Just vary your orange a little bit. And then we'll take the Blood Angels red. I'm actually having a huge challenge with the Adrax Agatone model. So much detail. Watching you gives me hope that I can make him look good, though. Awesome. I think you can make him look good. I have him here somewhere. Let me see if I can grab him real quick. He's on my desk. And I'll just flash him on camera real quick. Somewhere. Yeah, here he is. There's old Adrax Earthshade himself. Did him with contrast paint. Hey, look! There's that fire! Same exact technique. Look at that. It's a good tie-in, man. Good tie-in. He's got some lava on there. Yeah, he's an awesome model. I think you can do it. Alright, so I think I'm just going to dry brush the cannon with a little bit of white just to make it look like tarnished silver a little bit. It's not really how you should do a tarnished silver effect, but that's what I'm going with because it's easy. Just going to dry brush up here, some up there. Down here a little bit. Too much, wipe it off. Just get some of that. Good. And just dry brush the Goblin a little bit. Give him some more life. I'll paint the Goblin's teeth. The base should be really quick, so 8:44, yeah, we should still be done in an hour. We'll see. That's the goal, anyway. I'll give the Goblin a red eye. Well, actually, give him an orange eye. Why not? Orange eyeball for the Goblin. We'll give this guy an orange eyeball, too. Sneak it in there. Alright. And I think we'll call him done. So there again is my technique that I pulled from a YouTube video. That's some war paint. Mixed some paint with some pigment powder. Stippled it on. Just got a simple X going on the back there. Painted half his face. Like the stereotypical woad or Celtic warrior. I don't know. And then a heart with an arrow through it. Just for funsies. Alright, so now we'll move on to the base. So, first things first, he's got to come off his base. Let's see if he'll come off. It's always the first step. Unless I have another 40 mil hanging around. Nope, I don't. So we're going to pop him off. There you go, he's off his base. There he is, rocking out. So now, thank you so much for showing me that. You're welcome. Alright, so we're going to get some cork. And we're just going to get a piece that is the size of our base here, roughly. There we go. Get these pieces out of the way. And then we're going to stick that. I should probably do this on camera, huh? That probably wasn't on camera, but I got a piece of cork that's roughly the size of my base here. I'm now going to stick it to the base. Just with some super glue. We'll let that dry while I gather the supplies I need. Ooh. So, I think I'll use this stuff, which is grass green from grass green flock from the army painter. And then we've got a couple plants I need. Those. And I'll stick one of these on. So I stuck one on every other base I did. Alright. We're going to need a really green tuft. See it? Aha! There we go. Alright. So our cork is nice and stuck. So now I'm going to get some Sigor Brown. I've done this technique on stream before. Basically what I'm going to do is use the paint as glue for the flocking. Basically just to skip a step. And as long as your flocking is small, as most flocking is, and as long as you apply your paint so that it's not completely dry when you put the flocking on, you'll be all set. And my entire ogre army is painted like this, is based like this rather, and I have not seen a problem with flock coming off. So that army was the first time I ever did this technique, and seems to be working just fine. Over like a 10-year life cycle of the army, I might lose some flock. If so, I'll just put some more paint down and dip the bases in flock again. I don't foresee it being a problem. So I'm just going to paint all the cork. Then the top of the cork's a little bit dry, so I'm just going to put some more paint on it. And then I just take the base and do that. Get off the extra, blow on it. There you go. You've got some like a muddy ground sort of look. Then I'll take a tuft or two. I've got this little plant here. I'll glue him on. Just put a little dot of super glue somewhere. And stick that on there. I would maybe normally paint this little plant, but I did this whole army as a 24-hour speed paint, so I didn't really focus too much on the bases, just kind of got them done. So I'll just put this tuft down right here, get this blue fleck, whatever it is, out over there. Alrighty, then I'll glue him back to the base. If you use contrast on your miniatures, sometimes you'll see that some of the paint has gotten on the bottoms. This is like leaked under where the glue wasn't. So you just want to make sure to wipe that off before you put any super glue on their bases, or on their feet rather. Then I'm just going to find a spot where he looks good on here. I think right about there. Stick him down. And there you go. He's done. Lid on my flock so I don't accidentally spill it all. I spilled some static grass on my PC the other day. That was a yikes. Thankfully it didn't go in the PC, just in a couple of USB ports, but still it's a little bit of a sketchy moment. So be careful with static grass and flock and stuff like that. Oh, I got these other green tufts out. I didn't even use one. Let's use one real quick. Green tuft. A little bit of super glue on the base. And right here. Done. Paint the base frame real quick. Just going to paint that with some Abaddon black. I've said this on stream before, but the way I paint base rims, to get them smooth, I just dip my brush in the paint first, then dip it in the paint water, and then just go to town. And that usually, because my base rim color is always dark, doesn't matter what color the paint water is, it's not going to change the look of the paint too much. And basically it's like thinning your paint for lazy people like me. Just make sure you get a nice even coat all the way around here. That'll do. And there you go. Time is it? 8:52, right on time. So there is our... How can I hold him? There we go. Wet baster makes it difficult. There's our Ogor Leadbelcher. He's all done with our paint challenge of use a YouTube video technique. What is that? Get out of there. YouTube video technique. The technique I used is how to apply war paint to things. I will link that video in the comments as soon as the stream ends. But otherwise, he's done. Fully painted and based in under an hour. This is why all of you should get 24% when this is all said and done. Finish all 24 of these painting challenges. Less than an hour a day, you can do it. And then you can get a massive discount. Alright, well, that's it for this episode. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.